In this video, we're going to be talking about the formulas for compound interest. So we'll practice a couple examples where we find the balance of compound interest and find the compound interest as well. So after 2 years, a balance A in account with the principal P and an annual interest rate of R in decimal form, and that's important, decimal form, is given by the following formulas. For n compoundings per year, we have A equals P times the quantity 1 plus R over n raised to the nt power, where n is the number of times per year. Or for our second formula, we have continuous compounding. We have A equals P times e to the RT. Let's go ahead and let's do a couple examples and see how exactly those come into play and how we can use them. So we're going to start with our first example that says a total of $9,000 is invested at an annual interest rate of 2.5% compounded annually. Find the balance in the account after 5 years. So this is going to be an example of how to find the balance of compound interest. Now we're told that we're compounding annually. So how many times a year is that happening? And the answer is that's 1 time a year. So the number of times per year is going to be a 1. Next, we want to figure out how, so we have all these pieces we need to find. Because we're compounding annually and not continuously, we're going to be using the equation A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT power. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for our A value. We have the P value, which is our $9,000. So we know that P is the $9,000 that they put into the account. Our interest rate is this 2.5%, so that's our R. So we have an R value as a decimal is going to be 0.025, and we have our N already. And now the question is, well, how long are we going to do this for? So what does our time look like? And it says after 5 years, so our time will be 5 years. So we can go ahead and we can plug in what we have. So A equals 9,000 times 1 plus 0.025 divided by the number of times per year, which is once, times n times our t, which is 5. And so we can take this, we can actually plug this right into our calculator. So we've got our calculator. We're going to go ahead and we have 9,000 times 1 plus, we'll put in our fraction, so 0.025 over 1, parentheses, and we're going to raise that to the 1 times 5 power, and that's going to give us an answer of $10,182.67. So let's go ahead and write that down. And so we're able to say that the balance after 5 years is going to be $10,182.67. Let's look at our next example. Here says a total of $12,000 is invested at an annual interest rate of 3%. Find the balance after 4 years when the interest is compounded quarterly and continuously. So here it's asking us to do 2 things. Quarterly is going to refer to the number of times per year, and quarterly there are 4 quarters in a year. Continuously is going to give us our other function. So our first function that we're going to use for quarterly, for part A, is going to be the one that we just used. But our part for part B is going to be A equals P times E raised to the RT. So we still need our values. We still need to know what is our principal amount. Let me just go ahead and scoot this over for a second. Give us a little bit more room. The T didn't want to come, so we'll just rewrite it. Okay, so we need to know what P is, what R is, N, and T. And so again, it told us that we were putting in $12,000 to invest and that there was an interest of 3%, which is written as a decimal as 0.03. The number of times per year is going to be 4 for the quarterly, for part A, and for part B we don't need the N. And then our time is going to be this 4 years, so 4 years. So let's go ahead and let's we're going to go ahead and do part A. So we're going to plug in what we know. All right, so we're all set to go ahead and plug this into our calculator and see what we're going to get. So let's pull up our calculator and then we will go ahead and do this. So 12,000 times 1 plus 0.03 over 4 raised to the 4 times 4 power gives us $13,523.91. So we'll go ahead and we'll write that down. And so that's the answer to our part A, because again, we're finding the balance of compound after the compound interest. All right, so that's part A's answer. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at part B's. So same kind of thing. So A equals, we're still going to use that 12,000 times E to the 4, oops, nope, not 4, because we need the rate. So our rate is 0.03, and then times our time, and our time was 4. And now we're ready to put this into our calculator. So we'll pull up our calculator. We'll move it over here where we can see it. So we're going to go ahead and put in our 12. Let's move that a little bit. There we go. 12,000 times E raised to the 0.03 times 4. And that's going to give us an answer of $13,529.96. So let's go ahead and write that down. And so we see that the balance after 4 years compounded quarterly is $13,523.91. And after 4 years compounded continuously is $13,529.96.